Well, hopefully this is successfully streaming live on YouTube. It is my first time trying this out with a bunch of software, but what's the point of being a tester if you can't try out software? So, the plan today is I will be looking at SQL exercises that are available on W3 Schools. So if you're wanting to learn SQL, this is a fantastic website. It's just make sure I plug it in. Lets you learn about all sorts of different SQL tips and tricks, and it also has some exercise to learn things. Now they're quite simple, but it's a great way to build up and check your knowledge. So hopefully that is all going through smoothly. Now, I have no idea how I can share this if it is successfully playing. Yeah, go technology. So as such, apologies for seeming a bit haphazard with this. Again, it is my first time trying it. Yeah. YouTube says it's live, which is reassuring. So, dear YouTube, how do I show? How do I stream what I'm doing? View live in control. Ooh. I mean, it looks like it's all live, so yeah. So let's try and share this on Twitter, see. People that watch this back, this is going to be a really terrible start. I'm sorry. It is just figuring it all out. So I'm going to let people know on Twitter I'm doing this out. It'll be interesting watching this back and seeing how good it is. Right. So, SQL exercises. So we are going to I am going to start doing some SQL exercises. So this isn't running the SQL. This is putting in the query to go, okay, do you understand what they're trying to do here? So in this case, we are using these are all around SQL Selects. So we want to insert the missing statement to get all the columns from the customers table. If you've seen my Lego SQL, hopefully you will know the answer to this. So if we want to look at something, if we wanting to see things, we are wanting to select. Submit the answer. Huzzah! It is correct. If at any point I get stuck, I can press show answer and it will tell me what the answer is. So this time we have write a statement that will select the city column from the customers table. So because we're wanting to see something, and they even said select the city column, so we are wanting to select. Pressing a button to mute myself because I got a bit of a cough, sorry. What we want to select, we're not wanting to select everything this time. This time we want to see the city column. So we're going to say select city. We've set all the columns we want to do. So now we want to understand where this is coming from. So in this case, we're wanting to say is from customers table. So we will say select city from, and huzzah, we are correct. 2 for 2. But I would hope so. This is very fundamental SQL even for me. So we want to select all the different values from the country column in the customer table. So it's given us, it's saying we want to do something, country from customers. So again, it's SQL Select, so that really does influence what we want to do. So we're wanting to select. Now, if we want to select different values, the way we do it is we say we want to select distinct. So if something was turning up more than once, we wouldn't see it. So we want to say distinct. And if this was incorrect, I'm hoping the mouse shows, the box is the exact length that you need to populate it with. So if you use a different word and noticed it was either too big or too small, you've got the word wrong. So we want to select distinct country from customers. And is that right? Yes, it is. Fantastic. So those are all 3 of the SQL Select exercises. So now we shall move on to our wheres. So where is when we get to refine our query. So it's not just show me the table. You want to narrow it down a bit more. So what do they want from me this time? Select all records where the city column has the value Berlin. And it's already done the selecting from. So we want to select star from customers. We are wanting to say where, because we are wanting to refine this. So we always start off with where when we're refining something. They've asked us to look for the city, so we will look for city. And with a value of, turn caps lock off, Berlin. Caps lock shouldn't matter, but it's nice that they've asked for that, and it might be case sensitive. Let's make sure it's case sensitive. Well done! Use the not keyword to select all records where city is not Berlin. Now, annoyingly, the way I would write this normally in SQL is not how they want this to be answered. And when I was having a quick practice with these yesterday, it was infuriating me, because this is not, ironically, how I would write this query. So we want where, and weirdly, it wants where not city equals Berlin, not Berlim. Learn to spell Lee, come on. And that is correct. I might pull up either in this or in another session me doing some SQL with the available databases. We'll have a look. Exercise 3 for SQL where. Select all records where the customer ID column has the value 32. So we're looking for a specific value. Now, hopefully, if you are watching this back, you will straight away be going, we need a wherely, right? So now we're wanting something specific. And you may have seen from previous ones, we want the customer ID to equal and 32. Because it's a number, it doesn't have to be in quotes. This was something that wasn't always very clear to me to begin with. But it's also down to how the column's set up, and yeah, it's very complicated. Excuse me a second. Hopefully the big click of my mute button on the headset isn't rambling through this. I'll watch it myself back later and go, oh my god, this was terrible, or ooh, that's how it works. Hooray! Exercise 4. Let's select all the records where the city column has the value Berlin and the postal code value column has the value 12209. Okay, so we are wanting to select, because until we're doing something other than looking at things, we always want select. We're narrowing down our data, so we're going to need to start with a where, because that is how SQL works. So we got the city was Berlin, because we want to do something, and they've been very leading with this italicized, that's the word, and we need to say, and postal code equals 12209. Hooray! And it shows it wasn't case sensitive column. Columns shouldn't be case sensitive. Data can be case sensitive. So keep that in mind when you're writing queries. Depending on what I'm doing, I might have it either all in lowercase or all in uppercase, depending what I'm up to and the version of SQL, and if it tries to make things into uppers for me and so forth. Whatever you find preferable, if you want to make the beginning of words capital and the rest lowercase, whatever makes you comfortable with your SQL, go for it. Don't let anyone tell you you're wrong otherwise. When it's like the columns and syntax, go for broke. Select all records where the city column has the value Berlin or London. Now they didn't put the or in italics this time. So we want our good old select star from customers where city equals Berlin or the city equals London. Depending where in the world, it will pronounce London or London. Is that correct, W3? It is! Fantastic. And that is all SQL Where's complete. Quick dash over. So we're wanting to order our data. So we're wanting to see it in a particular order. I can't be more refined than that. So select all the records from the customer table, sort the result alphabetically by the column city. So we're not refining the data with a where. We want to look at everything. We just care about the order the data turns up rather than specific data. So we'll select star from customers. Thank you very much for that, W3 Schools. Now what we want to do is order by. So this is it. This is us telling it what we want to do. So in this case, order the data. What are we wanting to order? It's very kindly told us it wants to order by city. Fantastic. Now what is next? We want to select all records from the customer table, sort the result reversed alphabetically by the column city. Now if you're not used to ordering, rather than think of it as reversed or not, think of it as the results are ascending or descending. The default is ascending, so that is, say, starting at A and ending at Z. If it was descending, it starts at Z and ends at A. So in this case, we want to descend to the order. So again, we are wanting to order by, and we're wanting to order by city, but this time we want it by descending order. So we say what we're wanting to do, order by. We're saying the column we want to do it on, in this case the city, and then because you can say ask if you want it to be ascending, but that is the default, so you don't have to. So in this case, we want to say order by the city, but put it in descending order this time. And live streaming with the cough is a terrible, terrible idea. But it's an exercise for me as well as with W3 Schools, and it's just something to try out to be a bit different. So what do we want this time? Select all the records from customers table, sort the result alphabetically, first by column country, then by column city. So we need good old order by. We want country, and then we just have a comma at the end because we're saying we want to order by more things, and we also want to order by the city. Because it wants the results alphabetically, it defaults to ascending. That is exactly what we need. And fantastic. So those are SQL order bys. Let's see, there's a fair old few things in here. There's 52 exercises in total. Got 11 done. Great. Inserting. I had to refresh myself for this one because I I didn't need to insert data much. Most of my experience has been selecting data or amending, like updating or deleting, not necessarily insert. So let's see if I can remember. So I want to insert into customers. So we've said this is the table, and then we need to give data. So we use insert to customers. Oh, what's the thing that goes there? Now this is really bad. Values. There it is. So we want to insert the customers, and then we specify the columns we're populating, because there might be more columns than this in the table. And assuming that any other columns are nullable, you don't say you're going to put a null value in, because by default it is null unless you say otherwise. And then you say what values you want, and they would match the order you've given. So we would want the customer's name to be called Heckenberger. The address would be Geitveien 15. I'm probably getting this horribly wrong. The city is Sandnes. The postcode is 4306, and they are in Norway. If I have pronounced it wrong, anyone in Norway or who speaks Norwegian, I apologise profusely. Is that right? Yeah, I remembered how to do an insert, and it was only the one insert, which was nice. Nulls. So this is, as I just mentioned, this is if a column doesn't have a value. And I would get nulls a bit mixed up when I was starting off. So I would say where is null, which isn't very useful. Yeah. So what is going on in here? Just quick flicking over to YouTube to see if it's all working. So in this, we're looking. So select all the records from customers. We've got that. Where postal code is empty. So don't think of it as empty. Think of it as is null. So if we say is null, we want this to say where this column has no values. And that's correct. Fantastic. And then we want to flip it to say what happened. Well, get me all the records where we do have a postcode. If they don't have a postcode, I don't want them. So select all records from the customers where the postal code column is not empty. So it's very similar to the last one. So where postal code is, and because we want it is not empty, think of it as, again, is not, because they put it in capitals for us, null. And that is correct, and that is SQL nulls out the way. I am storming through these. So we want to update the city column of all records in the customers table. So because we are now updating values, we're not just wanting to look at them. So everything previously has just been about selecting, is about looking at data. Now we're wanting to change the data. So we are using update customers. And my brain is having a freeze. I'm like, set, that's it. You want to set the value. Because set isn't just the word that would come to mind, but it's a language, but like any language, it has its strangeness. Good old language there, like, well done. So we want to set the city to Oslo, and this will change every customer there to the city of Oslo. You probably don't want to do that, but if you wanted to do that, this is how you would do it. And I successfully remembered it. Fantastic. I'm hoping not to need to use a show answer. So we need to set the value of the city columns to Oslo, but only the ones where the country column has a value of Norway. So this is more like it, because we don't want to say they're in Oslo, England, Oslo, France, Oslo, South Africa. We want them to be Oslo, Norway. Now, there are more cities in Norway than Oslo, but for some reason they want all of Norway to be in the city of Oslo. So we are going to be updating. We are going to be setting the value to not Oslo, and because we're refining what we're looking for, we are using our good old where clause. And correct. So that is 16 of 52 complete. Now, this time we want to update the city value and the country value. So we are wanting to update, we are wanting to set, and because we're wanting to do more than one thing as part of the set, you don't say set over and over and over again. Instead, you add a column to say, I've got something else I want to do as part of this command, as part of this syntax. So we've got more things we want to do as part of set. Here is the column to go, do Oslo, and then this is more set. So we want to look at the country. So in this case, we would say update the customer table. Set change the city to Oslo, and we're wanting to change the country to Norway, where a customer has a value of 32. So in this case, we would only be changing what is hopefully one customer. There should only be one customer with a value of 32. If there's more than one, that's a different problem. And remember, and that is updates complete. Now we're wanting to delete data, because maybe we were inserting a bunch of data and actually we went, we put in a load of data we don't want. So we want to delete all the records from the customer table where the country value is Norway. So we want to delete from customers, because delete is the action and from is saying from this location. And we are refining our data, so we are saying where the country equals Norway. And that is correct. And we want to delete all the records from the customer table. We are not looking for specific customers. We just want to get rid of everybody. So we can just say delete from customers. Now, if we were wanting to do that normally, you probably wouldn't use delete. There's a function called truncate, which might be under SQL database. We'll see. And it's a tidy way to do it, because it just goes, if it's there, get rid of it. And I think it's less CPU intensive, and there's more tidiness behind the scenes. But you can't narrow data down with a truncate. Truncate is all on. You say truncate, it gets rid of everything. With delete, you can use your where, as we saw in exercise 1, to be more specific. SQL functions. So I never got this far in the practice last night. So if I get stuck, I will be having to use show answer, and I'm hoping to get 52 for 52. So in this case, we want to use the min function to select the record with the smallest value of the price column. So we want to select min, and we are looking for minimum price. So we're saying min, and we're using the good old curly brackets to specify what it is. Have I remembered how to do a min properly? Oh, that's reassuring. Last thing I want to do is go, this is how you do SQL. How do you do this? Oh, I can't remember. Use an SQL function to select the record with the highest value of the price column. So we are wanting to flip around what we just did. So we're wanting to say we want to select the max price. So rather than the minimum, which is what min is, we want to say the maximum. So if something's the highest, it is the maximum value we have. Use the correct function to return the number of records that have the price value set to 18. So we're not wanting to look at the numbers, not wanting to look at the records, we just want to know how many there are. So if we're wanting to do this, we are wanting to count them. So we are wanting to use select count, curly brackets, star, and the star means count all the values, all the just look at all the columns. You're not wanting to narrow it down. From products, and because we are refining this, we are using good old classic where. So where the price is 18, count all those records. And that is fantastic. Thank you very much, game. It's not a game. Using an SQL function or SQL. I don't know why I'm flipping between the two. I call it SQL. It's just using an SQL function. It sounds terrible. I would say use a SQL function to calculate the average price of all products. So we are wanting average price, because average is too long a word. We don't need that. We just need AVG. Makes me think of antivirus software. Using none of this an SQL function to calculate the price of all the price column values in the products table. And it has given away the word we actually want this time, not just a similar word. So we are looking to get the sum. So add up all the values, and if you've used Excel much, you're bound to have used sum. And hopefully I've remembered this correctly. Huzzah. As a reward, I will have a drink. Likes are now. I can't say I like likes because that just sounds strange. But it's very useful when you're doing a query if you're not exactly sure what you're looking for to understand how to use a like. So I want to select all records where the value of the city starts with the letter A. So we want to select star where city like. So it starts with an A. We want all the characters after that, so we use a percentage. And then we finish it because it has quotes. So the percentage is look for everything up to the percentage and then anything that comes afterwards. Alright. So now we want to do the inverse of the last one. So select all records where the value of the city column ends with the letter A. So we want to select start for customers where city like. So in this case, we want it to be any values we can find and then an A at the end. So if for some reason there was city that was just the letter A, this would find it. But the A, if the A is not at the end but somewhere else, it won't return it. It has to be specifically at the end. Now I wonder if the next one's going to be contains an A. Yeah, that was a premonition. Select all records where the city, where the value of the city column contains the letter A. Now, if you are playing along at home, hopefully you can see where we are going with this. So where the city, like, good old quotes, we want percentage A, percentage, and quotes. So we have our quotes because we're looking for a value. We have percentage either side. Say, I don't care what is before this value, and I don't care what is after this value. There just must be an A. And it could end in an A, and that's fine. It could start with an A, that will also be fine. It allows nothing as part of the percentage. Select all records where the value of the city column starts with an A and ends with the letter B. Now, this is where I'm hoping I'm remembering something properly, because I think it should just be A percentage B. Because that's the only thing I've ever used in like. I know there are other things you can do in like, and W3 Schools has shown me, but I've genuinely never needed to use it. So we want where city, like, the recurring theme. So it wants to start with, let's do a little A, be consistent. Then a percentage, and we want it to end with a B. And we'll have quotes, and I remembered correctly. Great. So if the city was just the word ab, it would find it. But if it could be the longest city in the world, so long as it starts with A and ends with B, doesn't care how many characters are in between them. And selects all records where the value of the city does not, good old putting it in capitals to help us out, not start with the letter A. So we want where city not like says we want it to not start with an A, and I can remember how to do a likes. Does it? Well, 29 of 32. I'm past the middle. I didn't even notice. Wildcards. Select all records where the second letter of a city is an A. I've genuinely never needed to use this. I think it is like underscore A. That is something rattling around in the back of my head. So it will be ignore the first letter, but it must be exactly one character long. Right. Select all records where the first letter of a city is an A, or a C, or an S. I honestly can't say I know this one. I'm going to have to press show answer. Or I can go to the sequel's wildcard tutorial to tell me how to do it. Which is sort of showing me the answer. And it shows you how to do it in MS Access, in SQL Server. Gives you a demo database to play with. So it uses square brackets to say with B, S, or P. And if it's A, B, or C, you can just say A to C rather than all the characters. Okay, so I've sort of pressed show answer, but not. So it will be A, C, S, close the bracket. That's what it was telling us, wasn't it? Everybody? Brackets, the letters you're looking for, percentage. And that is done. And I've genuinely never needed to use that. I would just use a lot of ORs. So it shows that there are other ways I could have been writing my queries. That's handy to know. Selects all records where the first letter of the city starts with anything from A to F. Now, because I just looked at the wildcard thing, they told us how to do this. So we're wanting A, and because it's all the characters, we can just use a dash, and it will tell us. It will say, find me all those characters without having to put a list of them. So submit answer. Yay! Thanks for sort of showing the answer, but not cheating. Select all records where the first letter of the city is not an A or a C or an F. It was not. So the explanation. And this is how we would do like not equals. So it's weird how we, yeah. So brackets to show it's a range of things. That's how it must be doing it. I'm saying this as it is correct, or I have learnt this myself. So if you've just learnt this, congratulations. So we want it to be not starting. So A, C, F, and then let's be polite and keep it lowercase. That's what it's looking for. Submit the answer. Woohoo! We are nearly there, people. And I generally have no idea if anyone is even watching this. But, well, yeah, it's a good exercise. I hope people are joining this. I'm just going to type into the chat. I was going to be in capitals. Hello. Ahoy. Alright, so I'm yelling to myself. So, ins. I like ins because it's useful if you need lots of similar things. So use the in operator to select all records where country is either Norway or France. So we want to say where, let's take caps lock back on, where country in, because we're having a range of things, we want our good old curly brackets. We'll say Norway. Oh, single quotes. I was like, why is it not going to fit? And then we want a comma, because we're using single quotes to give us the range of a value. And then we use a curly bracket to say that is the end of what is in our in statement. Nearly got that wrong. And we want it to be not Norway and not France. So we don't need to say, well, we can't, but we don't put a not in all the way through. We want where country not in. So you might notice if something's not true, the not is before what we're saying to do. So pretty much just go where, okay, country, yep, we're looking where the country, and then is not, ooh, so invert whatever I see next in Norway or France. We're getting close, people. The end is in sight. Both of me jabbering on about this and trying out these exercises. So now we're using betweens. I've never been a fan of betweens. I like the flexibility with ors, because then if I want to get rid of it and just say so in this case we want everything with a value between 10 and 20. Well, if I decided I wanted everything 20 or under, or everything 10 or over, by using specific values with an or, I can comment them out, but your values may vary. So we want where the price is between curly brackets 10, 20, curly brackets, and something's missing, because that, as I said, folks, is too short. Because if I try to submit this, no, not right, try again. What am I missing with my betweens? Oh, just and. You can tell I don't like using these. Yeah, I remember now, because it feels strange that there's an and in there when and is used for other things. They haven't even shown you ands much in here. Well, I'm gonna succeed in this, even though I should have failed. So use between operator, select all records where the value is not between. Well, as soon as you say a not, just do what we did before and invert it. So it's ignoring everyone for including those values. Now that is when a between is useful. Because if you look for a price that was, you could say is less than 10 and greater than 20, because it won't satisfy both. So if you're wanting to ignore a range, then the between would be helpful. Again, not a situation I've been in, but I might have used it. It might have come in handy if I went, actually, I can do this, rather than ignoring things. I don't know. So, final between. Use the between operators to select all the records where the value of the product name column is between Gytost and Pavlova, the cake. So we want between Gytost, quotes, and quotes. Oh, don't do it like that, Lee. Capital P. Right, that fits, so it should be right. Huzzah! That's the end of betweens. Good riddance. Aliases. Aliases are handy if you want it to be showing us something else when you output it. Um, I don't use them that much, but more because when I'm looking at something, it's more for me. I imagine if this is something you're going to show to someone else, or it's like a really long, silly title, you can change it. So for some reason, alias gets shortened down to as. I don't know if it's because that's the start and end of alias and it fits, or what. So we want to call it Pinot for postal number, even though it's postal code. When displaying the customers table, refer to the table as consumers instead of customers. Oh, these aren't our customers. These are consumers as consumers. So there you can use an alias on a table as well as a column. Join. Oh, I love joining tables. Whenever I've spoken to testers, I mean, imagine it applies to non-testers, but testers where my wheelhouse is. Joins is the thing they find the most difficult or the biggest bridge to cross when learning SQL, because it is so different. Because it's one thing to play around with one table, it's another thing to get tables that talk to each other. So insert the missing parts in the join clause to join the two tables, orders and customers, using the customer ID field in both tables as the relationship between the two tables. So we're wanting to join, and we're joining on, and I don't know why it's on. So we are wanting to join the orders dot customer ID, because we are starting with this table and we are connected to this table, and we are connecting to the customers dot customer ID. And the reason we have to say the table is because if we just said customer ID, which one? And if we said customer ID equals customer ID, it would get awfully confused. It'd be like, well, of course the customer ID matches the customer ID. It is the customer ID. And this is where, like, naming your columns better can help as well. But yeah, once you're joining tables, you'll need to say what the table is and the column. Even if it's a column that's only on the one table, just get in the habit of putting the table in front of the column every time. Choose the correct join clause to select all records from the two tables, whereas the match on both tables. So you're wanting to join customers. Now, is this wanting me to say inner join? It is. And that's awfully frustrating, because if you just said join, saying join is an inner join. And a join, inner join is the overlap in a Venn diagram. That's the easiest way to think of it. Choose the correct join clause to select all the records from the customers table plus all the matches in the orders table. Now, this is something that I only had to learn a couple of years ago, and until then, I literally had never needed to use it all the time at join tables. So what they're saying is we want to show all the customers and everything that matches on the orders table. So we are wanting, if we want to see all the customers, we are wanting a left join customers. That can't be right because it is too short. Oh, don't make me have to look it up. I'm meant to be really good at SQL joins. Oh, Oh, because it's not left. The customer table's on the right, isn't it? Oh. So I knew exactly what I was doing, but I had the tables the wrong way round. Because the customer is the table we are attaching, the way to think of it is the table you start with is the table on the left, and everything that you attach to it goes along on the right. So the principle of what I was doing was correct. It was just I was wanting them the wrong way round. And as you can see, inner join, you don't have to say inner, and outer joins, you don't have to. You could just use the words left, right, full. So a left join, we say show me all of this table and anything in this table that matches. Right join is the inverse, the table you're joining to, show me everything. Full outer join, show me the lot. I've literally never needed a full outer join. I don't think I've ever needed to use a right join because generally the table I'm starting with is the important one, but it might not be, and that's why you need a right join. But yeah, it can get awfully messy. That is joined by group by. So we want to list the number of customers in each country. So we are wanting to count them and group by country. So count how many customers ID and then say the country. So we wanted to group all the countries together. That's how group by works. I'm trying to think. Group by is handy when you're trying to when you want to do a mix of say counting and not counting. So you want to say if you just said count customer IDs, you won't know from what countries how many each country has. So final group by, and then we're right near the end. There must be a few in the database. There's from 44 to 52. List the number of customers in each country ordered by the country with the most customers first. So we want to count. We're wanting to count. What's missing here? Group by. We want to group by country. And then I weirdly think it is wanting us to order by count customer ID. No, because this don't fit. Oh, I've got all this weight and I'm trying to think what it wants to order by. If you're watching along, no one's here. Not a single person has watched this. Yeah. So I'm just going to show the answer. Oh, because it was the desk that was missing. I was like, it's always the little things because I wanted the most. The biggest number would be at the bottom of the list, so I needed to reverse it. So order by count customer ID desk. That's what we want. We've completed 45-52 exercises. I cheated really badly on this one. So I've never needed to create a database. Unsurprisingly, that was reserved for our DBAs. Testers were not given that much permission because we would break stuff. And probably leave it hanging around because we were really bad at telling after ourselves. So write the correct SQL statement to create a new database called testDB. So I think it's alter database, if I can spell, database testDB. Nope. Create, yeah, because alter is change, isn't it, Lee? So we want to create the database, not alter it. we want to delete database test DB. Well, no, that's not right. Oh, this is not looking. Drop. Oh, I knew it was drop table as well. You can tell it's late, and I'm particularly rusty with these kinds of things. If this is helping you learn what not to do, fantastic. If this is helping you understand things, so dropping is so if you would like to truncate, it would delete a table but leave the table itself, just the contents are empty. Dropping something is just blow the whole thing away. There are no traces of it left. So this is like get rid of it, not just empty out. So we are wanting to create table, and the table is called persons, and then when we create it, we would want all these columns, and these are the values for it. So we want a person ID, which is an integer. We want a last name, which can have up to 255 characters. That's a very long name. First name, varchar, another 255 characters. Address, very long address, and a really long city. But nailed it. Write the correct SQL to delete a table called persons. So we want to drop the table. I have done drop tables mainly because I have been in scenarios where I've been able to create temporary tables. Well, temporary in the terms of they don't want me owning it forever, but more than the length of the session. So I have had to drop tables, but someone has made the thing which allowed me to create the tables. I didn't write the query to create the tables. So here is our I would never write the word truncate. I would just say trunk, and that seems to work. So we want to alter table persons, add a column of type date called birthday. So I think it is birth. Oh, that looks terrible there. Well, that's not right. Oh, just add birthday date. I was overcomplicating myself. We want to add the because altering is what we're wanting to do, but we haven't said in what way we want to alter it. So we want to add the column, and it uses the date field. So we want to delete the column birthday from the persons table. So alter table persons, because that's what we've just done. And we want to drop column, not delete. We would drop. Deleting is what you do to data. Dropping is what you do to. Hooray! And I have successfully completed all 52 SQL exercises, and that is a fitting end to close because I was intending to cover these exercises. I hope you found this useful, interesting. I don't know. I'm hoping to try and do something like this again. It was an experiment. I don't know how well it works. I'll need to watch it back myself, but I find it very weird watching back my own things. And if you've found this useful, please let me know. You can message on YouTube and I will see it. You can get hold of me on Twitter. That's the best way to get hold of me if you use Twitter, and I'm at the Pirate Tester because I am extremely on brand. And I look forward to streaming again at some point. Thank you very much.